Hi there, BookTube, it's Roz, and I'm really happy to be making this video because it's an announcement for the April reading event hosted by myself and Elisabeth of Bouquins and Books called People April. It's all about reading books about people, things about people, not even necessarily whole books. It's a reading event that we want to be really easy to take part in. So you can do just a little or a lot, and you're still part of People April. So Elisabeth will also be making an announcement video, and I will link to that in the description. But in this video, I'm going to tell you what we mean by books about people, non-fiction about people. I'm going to introduce you to our prompts, and I'm going to explain about the group read choice. And but I will also say there's going to be a group on Discord to enjoy talking and sharing about this readathon, and I will give a link for that in the description. If the link's out of date, ask me to renew it, because Discord links, they have a time period, you know. Anyway, let's go. Let's talk about what sorts of things you could read in People April if you want to take part, and I really hope you will. So, because it will, however big or little your participation, it's going to add a dimension to your April reading. So, when we say non-fiction about people, the most obvious one that comes to mind is biography, isn't it? And, you know, you could read a straight biography, you know, like this one, The Life of Elisabeth, it says, and, you know, that's what it says on the tin. But you could read a group biography, you know, about, you know, a family or connected people, or like the group read we read last year, The Five, that was about the 5 known women who were killed by Jack the Ripper, for example. Or something like this. It doesn't have to be sort of famous or named people even. This is a history book with lots of real women in it, both famous ones and anonymous ones. So that's biography. But then, what about autobiography? Oh, so much choice within that. You can there's the fairly sort of, again, you know, linear autobiography. I'm holding up Maya Angelou. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. This is the first volume of her series of autobiographical books. This one about her childhood, that sort of thing. You could read a memoir, a graphic memoir, perhaps, like Persepolis, a memoir that's about a particular part of someone's life. There's a few around at the moment about the experience of motherhood that seems to be a very current subject. Then lots of travel writing is sort of memoir come travel. Like this one, for example, Patrick Leigh Fermor writing about walking across Europe as a young man. Nature writing as well. There's quite a trend now for writing about memoirs that are also about your relationship with the natural world. You know, H.S. for Hawke was a famous example, for example. So, you know, so many possibilities. And then you could veer into the zone of autofiction. You know, those books where, like, is it fiction or is it autobiographical? You know, the sort of thing that Annie Ernaux does. But, you know, James Joyce was doing it years ago, you know, when he wrote Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, you know. So lots of options there too. But biography and autobiography are not your only possibilities. You could read letters, one letter or many. That's non-fiction writing about people, in effect. Diaries, another great possibility. And again, you could dip into a diary you've always fancied a taste of, like, how about a little bit of Pepys, Samuel Pepys, say, or a political diary, or a humorous one. Many choices. And then there are other genres that can actually be biographical, autobiographical. Picture books, for example, you can get biographical and autobiographical picture books. Or plays, drama can be biographical or autobiographical, or poetry. Here's an example. Andrew Macmillan, Pandemonium. This collection of poems is about a very tough period in his life, and even tougher in his much beloved partner's life, because his partner was in the throes of really serious depression. So, poetry absolutely can be biographical or autobiographical. So that's your choices to get into. In the Discord group, we'll have the opportunity to make recommendations to each other, suggestions, things that people might not have thought of, and to share our TBRs if we want to. Then, all good reading events should have a prompt or two, shouldn't they? And in the spirit of People April, we've got a couple of quotations for you. Number 1, biography should be written by an acute enemy. And number 2, I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read in the train. So we are inviting you to use those as imaginatively, creatively, randomly and tangentially as you wish to connect to things that you might read in the month of April. The first was attributed to Arthur Balfour. So as well as opening up anything that's biographical and anything to do with enemies and conflict and so on, or unreliable versions of things, or reliable. He was a British politician and Prime Minister, so, that gives you anything political. He lived at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. That gives you a time period. I mean, so many possibilities. Also, he was responsible for the Balfour Declaration that kind of ultimately led to the current situation in, the formation of the State of Israel and, what's happened in Palestine. So a whole area of the world to think about. And, you could really go off down a colonialism and empire route. Many choices. Then the second, you may have guessed, is by Oscar Wilde. Very, very Oscar Wilde type of quotation, that, isn't it? So that gives you the option of diaries, of anything sensational, anything funny, anything to do with authors, drama, poetry, anything queer, of course, anything Irish. Yeah, as I say, the world's your oyster, really, with these. In fact, really, our challenge to you is to make a good case for how however ridiculous, for how the thing that you read link to one or the other or both quotations. There you go. Then, of course, we have a group read. We will have a group read, but how are we going to get to a group read? We've got 4 possibilities for you, and we want you to vote for the one that you would most like to read. And whichever is most popular, that's one we'll go with. And the voting is not in the comments on this video. It's Elisabeth is going to collect the votes on her channel so that we don't get muddled. So, but I will just quickly introduce you to the four choices so you can start thinking and see if you want to take part and you want to vote. Okay, so choice number 1. Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. It's 30 years since that was published in 1994 and when he became South African's president. It's a monumental book, big thick tome, but compelling and uplifting by all accounts. So choice number 1. Choice number 2, bang up to date, was one of the sort of lots of people's picks for one of the top nonfiction books of 2023. It's called Strong Female Character. It's by Fern Brady. She is a comedian, and this is her sort of memoir of her life up to date as an autistic woman who perhaps didn't know that was what she was, and how that sort of makes sense of her life. It's meant to be very funny, but also very honest and quite moving. Choice number 3 is a biography, and it's called Stranger in the Shogun City, A Japanese Woman and Her World by Stanley. It came out in 2020. It's about the life of a real but quite unconventional Japanese woman in the sort of earlier part of the 19th century, and then uses her life to kind of introduce us to the city of Edo, the culture, and so on. And then choice number 4 is a memoir, a little bit, more unusual form of memoir. It's called I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. We know and love Maggie O'Farrell, many of us, as the novelist who wrote things like Hamnet and A Marriage Portrait and several other brilliant books. But in 2017, she wrote what's often called a memoir with a difference, about 17 brushes with death that she's had in her life. And people who've read it say that it's about death, but it's a book that leaves you feeling grateful and fully alive. There we go. So there's your choices. Really hope you want to take part in the group read. Really hope you want to take part in the whole of People April. Again, in the Discord group, we will have a thread to talk about the group read. So I will be back a bit nearer to April with my TBR for People April. Really looking forward to hearing about what you decide to read and sharing the experience of reading about people in their own words or other people's words.